on Hot 96 News this hour.
The Supreme Court held that in its judgment, which I have. But are we to nullify an election on the basis of a last-minute boardroom rupture?
Korela imekuwa outbreak katika paso yetu already. Kiini kikuu ni hii sewage. Hii sewage imelipuka hapa muda mrefu sana.
Mimi saizi nalaumu serikali.
Maji pia ndio hiyo. Inapima kama dawa. Waeke maji nyingi.
Wadili na maji.
The Hot 96 News now with Teddy Otieno.
Good afternoon and welcome. President William Ruto and Azimio chief Raila Odinga engaged in an online war of words over the fate of the 4 IEBC commissioners who are currently being probed by Parliament over their suitability to hold office. This comes after Raila fired the first shot on Thursday by alleging that the head of state is a dictator for inflicting injustice on the 4 commissioners, Juliana Cherera, Irene Masit, Francis Wanderi and Justice Nyang'aya. Raila went as far as saying that the current regime reminded him of former President Daniel Moi's time in office, which was notably marred by instances of tyranny. In a tweet, the president, however, turned tables on Raila by slamming the former premier's 2018 handshake with former President Uhuru Kenyatta, noting that the deal was a clear form of state capture. In a rejoinder, the opposition boss reiterated that he stands on Ruto's role, noting that the executive should not interfere with the affairs of the judiciary. At the same time, the hearing of petitions pushing for the ouster of the 4 IEBC commissioners entered day 2 today. Petitioner Geoffrey Langat was hard-pressed to respond to questions raised by MPs amid concerns of lack of sufficient evidence and his self-confessed membership of the UDA party. Langat told the 15-member Justice and Legal Affairs Committee that the 4 dissenting IEBC commissioners tried to subvert the will of the people on the day the election results were announced.
The commissioners and the holders of independent offices are subject only to the Constitution and the law, and independent and not subject to direction or control by any person or authority. The way the commissioners were conducting themselves, the 4 commissioners, it was clear that they are not independent. I've given so many instances on the connection, the nexus between them and other forces. I do not need to belabor so much, because an independent commissioner performs his duties independently as by the law and the Constitution. The activities were well coordinated, orchestrated by other people.
At least 14 counties have been affected by drought. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua said the government will launch a campaign targeting 4.3 million Kenyans. Meanwhile, Gachagua appealed to Kenyans to offer relief support to those from arid and semi-arid zones. He was speaking at the launch of the National Steering Committee on Drought Response at Harambee House.
Will, among other things, establish a private-led National Drought Mitigation Appeal Fund and mobilize resources to alleviate the impact of drought ravaging parts of this country. The President has established a steering committee to provide a framework for mobilization of additional resources following increased public interest in scaling up of drought response to meet the needs of fellow citizens affected by the droughts.
He was flanked by Committee Chair Peter Ndegwa.
We remain cognizant of the urgent and immediate interventions needed to alleviate the suffering of those impacted by the current drought. That is why the committee is dedicated to immediately establish and implement a national drought mitigation appeal fund under the auspices of the Kenya Red Cross. We'll also be seeking to mobilize resources and supplement the government's drought response program in alleviating the impact of the drought ravaging the country.
Security officials have been urged to be extra vigilant during the festive season. Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki noted that the government will work jointly with police service and provincial administrators to ensure safety of Kenyans. Professor Kindiki revisited the issue of arming chiefs and their assistants, saying that the administrators will be vetted on suitability to handle firearms. He further called on them to be at the forefront in the fight against drugs and illicit brew. He was speaking during the passing out parade of over 400 assistant county commissioners in Embakasi.
We want to ensure that within the next 3 months, every ACC will be provided with transport so that they can be able to deliver services to the people of Kenya. There are, of course, resource constraints, not only in the security sector, but across government. But as I have said, your work is to stick to the delivery of services and to make sure that you don't veer off from your mandate.
And away from security matters, let's talk health now, where traders at Mutoro Market have welcomed the cleanup exercise spearheaded by the government following the outbreak of cholera. Speaking to Hot 96, they added that this will help reduce further infections in the busy market. They also called on the Nairobi County government to address the issue of garbage collection in Mutoro.
So tukiangazia mambo ya kipindupindu ambao ilitangazwa katika soko yetu, na ilipotangazwa tulisema tutaungana na serikali watupatie mikakati dhabiti ambayo inafaa ifuatilishwe ndio tuweze kuwa na mazingira bora katika soko yetu. Na tuko katika shughuli ya kuangazia ni mahitaji gani mfanyabiashara anafaa kuwa naye ili aweze kuendeleza biashara yake ya uchuuzi wa kuuza chakula, ambapo kila mfanyabiashara anahitajika akuje apimiwe ndio aweze pia kudhibitishwa kwamba ako hali nzuri ya kuuza chakula. Tungetaka pia kuwahimiza watu wetu wa Nairobi, katika jiji letu Nairobi soko yetu iko safi na tunaendelea kudumisha usafi. Saa hizi tunapoongea tunapima watu.
To Naivasha now, where Azimio leader Raila Odinga is leading a meeting with governors affiliated to the outfit. NAK Kenya Party leader Martha Karua and Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka are also in attendance. The meeting seeks to chart the way forward for Azimio and ensure that they consolidate support in their strongholds. Across the borders now, where state prosecutors in Comoros have asked a court to sentence former President Ahmed Abdallah Sambi to life in prison for alleged high treason. Sambi, who is 64, was president of Comoros between 2006 and 2011. It has been in detention since 2018 on corruption charges. Now he faces charges related to the alleged sale of the country's passports to stateless people living in Gulf states. He was tried in absentia after he refused to appear in court, according to the privately owned Comoros Info's website. Well, he is set to be sentenced on the 28th of this month. You're now up to date. These and more stories in our subsequent bulletins. I'm Teddy Otieno. Have a great afternoon.
The Hot 96 News.